International relation expert Bola Adediran joins me to discuss this. Good to have you join us, Bola Adediran. We're seeing a lot of countries reopening their economies gradually. Some are also looking to reopen international flights. For example, in Brazil, if you're in the UK or some parts of Europe, you can now fly into that country. I want to get your thoughts on this.
I think it's a good thing. I think the world has for more than 3-4 months now experienced significant changes. There has been significant economic impact of the coronavirus to many economies. And I think that the earlier we start finding ways to go back to some form of normalcy, the better for us. But having said that, I think that there is a sense in which we need to also note caution that societies that should be reopening are societies that have done their homework, societies that have seen the curve of coronavirus sort of flattening and deepening. In societies like Nigeria, where the cases are increasingly becoming we're seeing more increasing cases of coronavirus in the country. I don't think that the policy of the government to ease restrictions on, for example, worship places is the right thing to do. But having said that, I think that societies like Singapore, for example, where the number of deaths is in the tens and not in the thousands, it is inevitable that they should be in a position to gradually reopen their economy.
All right, so let's look at this sector by sector. Let's look at the tourism sector. It's been a very devastating impact for the tourism sector. The World Tourism Organization has now released guidelines to help that sector reopen. But we know that international tourist arrivals could fall between 60% and 80%, and millions of jobs have also been lost in that sector. So what's the prospect for recovery for the tourism sector?
I think that for tourism, a lot of people will be very skeptical about traveling, whether within their countries or outside of their country for a while. Partly, this is also because the areas in which they might plan to travel to could have some kind of guidelines in place. So, for example, there are discussions within Europe where some societies are planning to put mandatory 14-day quarantine policies in place. The UK has that, for example. So I think that the tourism sector will still continue is one of those sectors where the chances of reopening and going back to normalcy would be significantly hampered by the realities of the situation, just because states and countries are particularly concerned that once they have been able to bring down the numbers in their countries, that most of the infections and the new infections will be coming from the outside. And we've seen that in China. China managed to kind of address coronavirus for a while until a couple of months ago, where we began to see more cases of coronavirus coming from the outside. So I think that the tourism sector, as I mentioned, will be one of those sectors where a gradual move back to the normal will take a while.
Bola Adediran, international relations expert, thanks for sharing your thoughts with TVC News.